Call to order this regular meeting of the Page County School Board.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Please pause for a minute of silence as we prepare for the meeting tonight. Is not here, but Ms. Alger is going to read a little bit about Riley.
Yeah, so we still want to recognize Miss Riley from Springfield Elementary. Riley is a kindergarten student at Springfield Elementary. She loves to share her knowledge with her peers and teachers. She is always polite and respectful. Riley is always the first to volunteer, to help or answer questions. And she is a second generation Springfield student, and we are so proud of her. Great job, Riley.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Johnson, do you have any agenda changes or additions?
No, no.
Make a motion, we accept the agenda as written.
I'll second it. A motion by Mr. Overfelt, second by Ms. Alger to approve the agenda as presented.
Ms. Alger? Yes.
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 Mr. Overfelt?
Yes.
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 Madam Chairman, I'd like to certify that all personnel matters discussed in closed session this evening was according to section 2.2-3711A1.
I'll second.
With a motion by Ms. Sullivan Smoot and a second by Ms. Alger to certify personnel matters discussed in closed session.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Bryan? Yes. Mr. Overfelt?
Yes.
Ms. Alger? Yes. Ms. Sullivan?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we know.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Riley.
Do it again?
Yes.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it
Ms.
again.
Riley, you came just in time.
Can we do it together?
You gonna help us with the play?
All right, we're going to do it again.
Before she goes, can I read something? Riley, before you go, I'm going to read something really nice about you, okay? That was written about you. So Riley is a kindergarten student at Springfield Elementary. She loves to share her knowledge with her peers and her friends and her teachers. She is always polite and respectful. Riley is the first to volunteer to help or answer questions. And she is a second generation Springfield student, and we are so proud of her. Great job.
Can you start the pledge for us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job, Riley.
She needs a cookie.
Yeah.
He doesn't need a cookie.
Make it easy.
Do we finish this? Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the personnel action as amended?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda with the personal action as amended.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Alger and a second by Mr. Overfelt to approve the consent agenda. Ms. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
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 I make a motion that we approve the minutes for September 2025.
That was in our consent.
Oh, I'm sorry.
These are good. It's okay. Springfield Elementary School Volunteer of the Month, Miss Bambi Jessie.
So Miss Bambi has been a parent volunteer at Springfield for many years, probably over a decade. I can attest for that because she was a volunteer when I was there. Working. She has helped in classrooms with parties, eaten lunch with students, volunteered at after-school events and dances. She is the treasurer of the PTO and helps provide fun activities for our students. She's provided meals for staff as a thank you and to make them feel valued. Yeah. Bambi is always just a phone call away and will help with anything she is asked. We are very sad that this is her last year with us at Springfield. Bambi, thank you for always going above and beyond for the students, staff, and community at Springfield. Thank you.
Ms. Clark, student recognition.
So tonight we're recognizing various state recognitions, and we're going to rotate them in and out because there's quite a few for tonight.
Yes, good evening. It gives me pleasure to highlight some students, many of whom I know. So I've been looking forward to this. So we have so many, as Ms. Clark said, they're going to come in and out in waves. But these individuals tonight have all been at the highest level, which is the state championship. So it doesn't get any better than that. From Luray High School, Will Judy participated in State Cup.
He couldn't make it tonight.
He's not here, but I know the next one is.
Yep.
Participating in the state cross-country championship from Luray High, Max Banks.
He really doesn't like cross-country all that much. He just doesn't.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't.
Split while the door's open. Aaron Hensley was he screamed through there, didn't he? 16 minutes from the 5,000. That was excellent. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is the girls. Okay. We finished fourth in the state.
Okay, well, again, we are thrilled. I know these ladies pretty well. I've run a few miles with them over the years, especially the seniors. Congratulations, ladies. It's great to have you here. You've represented our county really well, finishing fourth at the state championships this last Saturday. So well done. We're pleased to be able to recognize you. So we're going to read your names and celebrate with you. So first we have Lainey Brown. We have Chloe Catron, Maya Jenkins, and Brianna Plum. I will note that Brianna was a medalist, placing 12th.
Hey, congratulations.
We also have Natalie Ridgway, Isabella Rizek, Maya Sowers, and Carolina Wood, who's not with us tonight.
Guys, we appreciate y'all. Good job. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Hey, good job. Mass exodus.
You're yelling at the phone to get organized.
Right?
Nikki is perfect for this job.
Make sure you wear something nice.
And these guys, well, they get sixth place, okay. Man, it's a lot of
They're all taller than I am.
Okay, well, thank you guys for coming. I know a lot of you as well from the cross-country course, and it is exciting to welcome you to the school board meeting and honor you for your accolades at the state championship this last weekend. Well done. Way to represent the blue. I know that Mr. and Mrs. Brumfield are here, your coaches, and we thank you for I know how much time you put into it. So thank you very much. And with that, we're going to recognize each of you. We have, these guys were 6 out of 12 at the state championship on Saturday. First one we're going to represent is Gavin Barlow.
Very good.
Landon Bosley, not here. Hudson Cave. Aaron Hensley. We'll note that Aaron Hensley probably made a run at the championship, ended up all-state in 5th place.
Nice.
Asher Kite. Bentley McKay. Joey Miller, one of our school board reps. Evan Montana. Jackson Staples. And Braden Welch. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Great
Well
job.
done.
Yeah, nice job.
Don't move it in the right-hand photo. You can, I'll move it in the middle if you want to.
Good job.
Very nice.
Yes.
He's coming in now.
Oh,
Had those 3.
Competition cheer.
There was another
Right way to say it. Oh, yeah.
guys.
Here's the cheer team.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
It was beautiful. When they used to
Look at that.
They coordinate.
I like this. They're in the costume.
Right.
Nice.
Well, their uniform. Yeah. Costume.
I know, it's good.
Well, happy Halloween.
Goodness.
all right. Oh,
Oh my gosh. What team is this?
oh, wow.
What job?
Oh, my God.
Ladies, thank you for joining us. We are super proud of you, and we wanted to honor you tonight for your competition cheer team and being in the state championship. It does not get any better than that. Yeah, well done. So we are going to call out your names and give you a certificate, and then don't move because some folks probably want to get a photo before you. So hang tight when we finish, okay? So congratulations, Addie Atkins. Casey Bailey. Gracie Breeden. Autumn Burker. Jocelyn Caldwell. Larry Cash. Daniela Cubbage. Ava Dunlap. Avery Green.
Yes.
Mackenzie Keys. Riley Knighton. Brianna Osborne. Taylor Pence. Kylie Reiner. Kylie Rodriguez. And Elizabeth Wood. We would like to say a special thank you to your coaches. We know how much time and energy goes into coaching, and just looking at how these ladies are representing, And your shirts are fantastic.
Yeah, they're cool.
So well done. Thank you. Now, does anybody want to get a photo before?
Right, we got one behind us.
Hey, Paul, should have made him do a cheer.
I know, good.
I don't know, I would have been afraid like the whole thing would like falling over.
That's it.
These are the admins coming in.
Oh, all right, okay. I think we got to give Mickey a round for organizing.
That was cool. Love it.
I know, right?
That changes the culture of school every day.
Yeah.
When you have success in athletics.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly does.
Everyone loves to be on a winning team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's your team or just being in school.
That's right. Yeah, so.
Clap as they come in.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Everybody in? All right, Luray High School student representative presentation. Ready? Great.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know me or don't remember me, I'm Andrea Bellows. I am a junior at Leroy High School, and I am a representative alongside Bridget. Okay, here's your agenda for the day. Talk about sports, the district welders, clubs, field trips, made an impact, and disabled American veterans. So for sports, Luray is now 6-4, and they compete in playoffs tomorrow against Buffalo Gap. I believe tomorrow all students get in free from Leroy High School, and this is crazy. As to last year, we only had 2 wins total. Okay. Volleyball girls won the 1B region competition and play in state quarterfinals on Saturday against Lancaster. Reese Fitton won Region 1B Player of the Year, and a lot of students received recognition for that. Cross country placed 4th and for girls in their state competition, and Max Banks placed 76th. Golf. Will Judy was the only one to compete in state competition, although the golf team had a very great season. They finished 4th in the Bull Run District Tournament, and they finished 3rd in VHSL 1B Region Tournament. So there are many welders at the PCTC, and 4 of which get to go to the district welding competition from Leroy High School. Top 3 get to compete for their skills competition, and 4 through 6 get to compete in a sculpture contest. So the 2 service projects NHS has is they are creating Christmas boxes for kids around the world who cannot afford so. Members of our chapter are adding 1 wow factor, 1 big gift in each box, and then a bunch of little gifts to go alongside with that. And they created a drive that ends tomorrow. Each grade level has a specific category of stuff they're going to give, and they have a reward for that. SCA is planning a Friendsgiving. Each member will bring in a food item, and they plan on doing a fall festival, collaborating with other clubs, possibly. FFA is pretty still at the moment, but they are doing a citrus sale, and I spoke to the advisor for FFA. I spoke to one of them, Miss Cornell. She wants to do activities with the nursing home, and Mr. Hammer, our advisor for NHS, thought about doing the same, so I'm talked to both of them, and they might be doing something for that. Okay, academic team and speech and debate just started, and so they have a scrimmage. They have a few scrimmages, actually, coming up. They had one last week. They did fairly well on that. The flamenco dance field trip, Miss Burley took a group of students across the school. She was really advertising this field trip to everyone. She took us students, and they got to see two sessions of dances in Richmond, and they went and got food, I believe. I didn't make it to that. Also, the Holocaust Museum, Mr. Strunk is taking his World History Honor students from last year, and he's taking his current students this year. I won't be able to go because I get my gallbladder out. But. And then there is also a Shakespeare Center field trip coming up. Senior athlete teacher recognition. So you can see the two volleyball players here chose Miss Benson and Miss Jenkins for recognizing. They all made an impact. And then the football, they chose as well, I suppose. Student counters. I went around the school and asked students what their favorite part of the year has been. And you can see a lot of them are socialization and extracurriculars. Not many had to do with actual class, though.
Surprise.
So the seniors in LHS had a fundraiser for disabled American veterans, and each donation that was collectively $10 got a flag. They planted over 200 flags, and they raised over $2,000. And each flag has a nameplate next to it for American veterans in Page County. And that Miss Getz got together a little celebration the other day. We all went outside when it was very cold. And we had a very nice presentation for that. I also asked teachers the favorite part of the school year so far, and a lot of them had to do with the students. It was all to do with the students and the content they get to teach to them. And so they were really excited about that. Any questions?
Just a couple. Oh, so go ahead.
Well, mine's not really a question. One, I love how you did the student and the teacher encounters.
Yes,
that's
that's
really
awesome.
neat. And I have to give credit where credit's due. So when you were talking about the qualifiers for welding, I just want to say we do have one of those qualifiers. Christian. So yeah, I think you deserve a round of applause.
Yeah, the interactions were awesome. That was great. Keep doing that. And also, the Luray sports team this week, are they both home games?
Yeah.
So Friday's the football game. Saturday's volleyball. What time does Saturday volleyball start? 3 o'clock? Okay. Just wanted to know. So I might try. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Our October minutes are posted for review. Springfield Elementary School, Miss Cherry? I'm like,
Good evening.
Hello.
Dr. Aldifer, Dr. Johnson, members of the board. Thank you for having me. I'm Kim Cherry, and I am the Springfield Elementary principal, and I am very excited to be here tonight to share with you guys a lot of our celebrations at this sweet little school. I know we've only been in school for about, 9 weeks, and half of them more 9 weeks, but we have we've been up to so much, and I look forward to sharing it with you. So I will start with reasons to celebrate. Even though the final numbers and data are not out yet from the department, the State Department, I think we look to be fully accredited because we have maintained or increased our SOL scores in all of our subjects. We did decrease the chronic absenteeism from 13% to 9.6%. We continue to have great family engagement. Something that was started this year that I am so very proud of. Every week we get more of these Row the Boat Staff Awards, and that's where we celebrate all the great things that the staff are doing. And they come in from, you can tell some of the students are writing them, parents are writing them, and I love that. And I think it's just what the teachers need, because it's just not a career where you get a lot of feedback. So I like that idea. And then that visual right there just shared with you the school quality indicators where we are all on level 1, hopefully, and just with that level 2 is the students with disabilities, which I'll talk to you about in just a minute. Diving into some of the instructional data with English, we did have a 73% pass rate overall, and that is, if you look at the visual there, you have the bar graphs from the past 3 school years. And when I came in, I am new this year, but I saw the 80% there 3 years ago, and you know, we're at 73 now. So there's some work there to be done, but overall we are maintaining with the division and the state, and so that makes me happy. But that will be something that we focus on. And then you have the individual scores there with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade reading. With math, did very well. All students, 86.3% pass rate. As you can see, for the past 3 years, we have pretty much maintained that and actually perform a little bit better than the division and the state, quite a bit better there with the 86%. So this year, hopefully we'll continue that. I know with the new curriculum with KIDM that, you know, Time and myself are working to make sure that that is implemented with fidelity, because that's hard for teachers to implement new curriculum, but just providing those supports there for them is important. Science, 80% pass rate. As you can see, 3 years ago, I think that's 75%. And then last year that rose to 80%, still quite a bit higher than the division and the state. So that is something wonderful that we will continue to hopefully perform at that level. And then we have history, 97% pass rate. That slide
That's
kind
awesome.
of
That's
speaks
great.
for itself. Other than the immense pressure I feel new coming in to maintain that this year. Thank you. So as we sat down and worked on our school improvement plan, we basically took the data, we looked at that data and sort of focused in on, as I was saying, students with disabilities in 4th and 5th grade. We're really going to try to hone in on that gap group to improve their numeric scores by 10% on the SOL reading test. And then overall reading, as I was saying, I just felt like there was kind of that downhill slide there, even though we're maintaining. So we're going to focus on percentage of students in grades 3 through 5 scoring proficient this year, based 73% to 75 as measured by the new SOL reading assessment standards, or however they decide to do it. And then we are going to continue to work on our chronic absenteeism. I always say, you know, our school has a lot of wavered in students, so there's a lot of car riders, and so there's a lot of students who say, I don't want to go today, and, you know, it's easy for parents to say, yeah, let's not make that drive. But so it's not something to let go of. You still have to focus on that. This year we are, our building leadership team chose to focus on these, and this is kind of the action plan part of those areas of focus. This year we have trained a lot of our instructional assistants, in addition to reading specialists, using the Spire and the Sunday reading remediation, not just in small groups, but really trying to implement that in everyday Tier 1 core instruction. We have reduce some of the other responsibilities of our instructional assistant and our instructional coach and our reading specialist, so that she can spend more time with our students in that Tier 3. As I mentioned before, the KIDM math, we're implementing that with fidelity at all grade levels. And then because we saw that issue with the students with disabilities in reading, Mrs. Kime and myself are working collaboratively with the gen ed teachers and the sped teachers in the room together to really try to work on that, to get those scores up with the use of the Spire and the Sunday system. And then, of course, the coaching cycles for new teachers. These are some of the things that we do working on the chronic absenteeism focus. At the beginning of the school year, we provide flyers that are from the State Department, and it just talks about a lot of the statistics that, you know, a lot of parents don't realize 2 days here, 2 days there, they all add up. And, you know, it's just, you know, it really does affect, it has a negative impact on a student's education. We track with a spreadsheet. I make a lot of phone calls home, just trying to get to know the families and understand why their students aren't there, and just try to work together to come up with a plan to get their student to school. We have monthly attendance celebrations. We just had one where they had the little pumpkin pie celebration for anybody who'd missed like less than 1 or 2 days. But we also, not only do we do individual, but we do kind of group. So we have a bulletin board in our hallway with all the grade levels, and we have the percentage of absenteeism there so they can kind of compete with each other. We have a reward card end of the year celebration and prizes from an Amazon donation that we have. Some of the other great things happening at Springfield, those are some pictures of past and present field trips. A lot of the grade levels last year were able to take field trips through grants and scholarship funding. Musical at the Paramount in Charlottesville, National Zoo in Washington, Monticello, Harper's Ferry, live orchestra performance at JMU and the Frontier Culture Museum. This year we've already added in a trip to the Richmond Science Museum, and those are some of those pictures right there. And then we have a trip for the Bell Grove Plantation. Something else that we do, we have a student of the month, and I always like this too because, you know, it's easy, you know, a lot of students are academically gifted, and you know, those are recognized every day, mostly in the classroom. And so I love that we do this, and each month we pick a different something to focus on and character traits. And so these were pictures from our September where they focused on kindness and friendship, integrity, optimism, respect, and so forth. And then we just had our celebration last week for October, which was on teamwork. And I told them, you know, there's not much more in life than to say that you are a good person and a team player and somebody who helps out others. Okay. More great things happening at Springfield. We have a High Flying Cardinals event every 9 weeks. We had one this past 9 weeks, kind of had a fall theme to it. And you see there, we've kind of adapted the apple bobbing to, they had to use little sticks to get apples up out of the Tupperware. Down in the bottom, that is the music. We had musical hay bales that the kids got to use. And then STEM activities, there's a picture of the light up turkeys that they did last year. And then positive behavior rewards. We are using our 3D printers to create positive rewards. That's that little turtle up there, and kids love those things. We also have a run club, and I love this because we have a lot of students participating in that, and it's run by our teachers, and I love that the students can build those relationships outside of the classroom with these kids. So there are some pictures of them stretching and running around the track. Upcoming family engagement events. We have our Thanksgiving luncheon next Thursday. I invite you guys to come to that. Starts about 10:30. 94% attendance last year. We have already had one of our musicals this year. It was great. Those are the pictures there in the middle and the left. Our 4th and 5th graders were so sweet. One group played the recorders, one played the ukulele, and then they were doing all kinds of monster mash dances for Halloween. It was so sweet, and it was packed. The cafeteria is packed. It made me happy. Breakfast with Someone Grand in the spring. We have 3rd annual bingo coming up, I think maybe in February. And then this year we're adding in a touch tank for the Chesapeake Bay, which they will bring their truck, and all of our grade levels will be able to go out and look at the animals in that. Oh, that's something new. And there you go.
When was your Thanksgiving dinner?
It's next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
May I add, if I may, as a new administrator coming from outside of the area and coming to a school that had no existing assistant principal, Miss Cherry truly hit the ground running. And I think the school and the staff are thriving. People are excited about her leadership. And I wanted to note, she kept alluding to Miss Kime. Miss Kime is here. She is our instructional coach and reading specialist. And I know that she's been a great teammate, speaking of team, to Miss Cherry. So thank you, folks.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Great job. Dr. Johnson, monthly financials.
Yes, so Miss Miller is unable to be with us this evening, and so I'll be presenting these, and I will do my best with the numbers that she has presented. So you can see the October expenditures, the total expenditures were $4,105,574.64. As you know, she has been tracking that by percentage spent according to the school year, and you can see that that's 33.95% of the expenditures, and we are right at the 33% mark in the school year. If you come down to the revenue table there, you can see that our local operations match is $1,732,422.27, and that match has been balanced with the treasurer's office. And so then you look down at the object category, and you can see again that matches the top Fund 1 totals. The second sheet on this agenda item is the local match calculation. And just to show you there how that is calculated, that local match with expenditures and revenues. And I will note that on occasion you'll see that the expenditures and revenues don't offset one another in a given month, but keep in mind that there are times when we receive grant funds after expenditures. So we might spend money on a given month that's grant funded and then get those funds at a little bit later date. Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Hamill, Division Literacy Plan.
Good evening, Chair Gordon, Dr. Johnson, members of the board. I'm before you this evening with our division literacy plan that's been provided to you. And just want to give you the opportunity to ask questions and discuss should you feel the need.
Good.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hopkins, 26 through 31 gifted plan.
Good evening, y'all. So tonight, I threatened my colleagues that I would read the entire gifted plan to you. They voted no.
We also vote no.
Okay.
And you can come back at 10 o'clock.
So let me just tell you a little bit about our gifted program here in Page County, just to give you some background. You've been provided with a draft copy of the gifted plan. You're welcome to read that and give me your feedback. We have currently 221 children that participate in our gifted program, and that's students from 3rd to 12th grade. And that's broken out, of course, the 4 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and our 2 high schools. All of our students are identified in general intellectual aptitude, which basically refers to a student's advanced abilities to perform above their peers. So that's how we determine. We use a series of tests to place them into the program. Once they score in those ranges, they're placed. So our plan, according to the state, has to have 12 key components. That's what's required. That's the format it's set up in. For example, like component 7 talks about services that we provide. So K2 students receive enrichment. 3-5 are actually identified gifted and participate in gifted services once a week in their home school. 6 through 8 participate at the middle school level through an elective course. So it's a semester, or they can choose to take both semesters if they'd like. And then, of course, 9-12 is honors or deaf school or advanced placement. So that's how our students are participating in our program. So basically the plan, and save you from reading all 21 pages if you'd like, what happened a while back, actually, in December of 22, the state gave us feedback. And they do that at the beginning of the cycle, and then by the end of when our plan's up for renewal, they expect you to make these improvements as they go. So there's 2 areas: you either meet the standard or you need additional criteria or additional things added. So let's see here. Part 2, E and F, was equitable representation, parent communication. They wanted a little additional information. The team has gone in and done that and updated that to meet that requirement. Part 3, or component 3, was screening and referral. We had mashed it all together. It's very beautifully written. They wanted it separate. So we separated it for them. That was fine, no problem. And then component 9 was professional development. They just wanted clarity on what we were doing as far as the school. And in fact, this year we were very proactive. All of our teachers during our PD days have opportunity to go hear about gifted and how that service works and how students identify. So all those changes have been made. It's been reviewed by parents, teachers, and directors, and then of course the gifted teams. Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Oliver, bell-to-bell policy?
Board members, I am going to be sharing with you about a proposed policy that I suspect that will be of interest to board members and student board members as well, student representatives. So as you can go to the next slide there. So we're going to talk about a couple of things tonight. One is about why we would consider going to a bell-to-bell policy, which a bell-to-bell policy is essentially students not having access to their phones or cell phones from the beginning of the day until the end of the day. We're going to talk about some of the general guidelines around that, what that would look like, what a process for communication would look like, and next steps related to that. So the first thing I want to say, and this is going to be really important as we communicate this out, is that while I'm sharing this with you all, this really isn't an option. Okay? This was a mandate directed at school divisions from the Department of Education that indicated that in the 2025-26 school year, that school divisions needed to implement a bell-to-bell policy. And they provided some guidelines as it relates to that, and we've taken those and incorporated them into a policy for Page County. Okay, so why would the Department of Education do this? Why would a school division want to implement a bell-to-bell policy? And there's some pretty powerful research out there around the impact of cell phones. And I know I have mine by my side most of the time, right? I know students have become used to that as well. But there really is a connection between cell phone use and access and mental health, particularly for teenagers, but that really is the case for all of us, right? So there's a book out there that you may have heard about called The Anxious Generation. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend you read it if you have not, which just talks about the impact on mental health of cell phones. So there's some real issues related to that come out with students' mental health. Talk about social and the stress of social media and kids having access to that on a daily basis, on a regular basis throughout the school day. It also has to do with just the smooth operation of school, right? So there's oftentimes kids will utilize cell phones to make plans to meet up or to be exchanging things they shouldn't be exchanging or whatever the case may be, right? So having access to those phones during the day can have some issues with that. And you can see up here, talk again, just the general social skills that sometimes students are not forced to maybe use those whenever they have access to them during the day. So we do have a policy currently around cell phone use and when it can be used. And during instructional time, it's the intention of the policy is that that's not happening, but in non-instructional time, they can use it. That also can create some challenges for teachers and administrators who are trying to enforce those rules, right? There's gray areas about when is instruction, when it's not instruction. This type of policy does clear that up, right? So essentially from the time the bell rings in the morning, I think it's 8:14, until the end of the day, it's roughly 3:15, cell phones need to be away, right? So the question, why not just ban them from school so students can have them on their person? or excuse me, they can have them with them. They actually not supposed to have them on their person. They're supposed to be in a bag, and I'll be showing that in a moment. It isn't, and we understand the necessity of having students have these after school activities, and for a variety of reasons, right? You'd want to have them, and potentially if there was some sort of emergency situation, that's not what we'd want students to be on their cell phones and getting other information, but it's also, we understand the need for parents to want to have access to their kids if there was some sort of emergency or something at the school. So we do allow for that. And there are exceptions in the policy around students who need them for medical reasons, right? So we have some students that have, because of a 504 or again, a medical plan, they may have diabetes, they have a pump and they should be followed on the pump. That's how they know. So we have that written into plans that would allow them to have access to them at that time. So the plan would be high school, middle school, and elementary schools, students may not use personally owned electronic devices during the school day. So that is a cell phone, that is a smartwatch, that is other things too. So we want to be clear, this isn't just about cell phones, right? So some sort of smartwatch is exactly the same thing as a cell phone, right? I mean, it has all of the things or many of the things that you would have on a cell phone. So those things would not be allowed. High school and middle schools, and so I say this ahead of time too. Currently, elementary and middle school, this is no different with that, right? So they're not able to have cell phones at that level anyway, right? So high school and middle school students may use their devices after school, at extracurricular events, after school hours, and on the bus. Okay. This is an important distinction too. Personally owned electronic devices must be concealed in a separate container, such as a book bag or a purse, and muted. If a student does not have such a container, one would be provided in the classroom. So there would be a place for them to put them during the school day if they didn't have that. So again, the idea and the hope is that these devices being away, they're not on their person, they're not hearing and feeling them buzz or whatever, that they can be out of sight, out of mind. I will say I have some personal experience with this kind of policy. So where I had been previously, it was implemented last year, and it was a bit of a challenge at the beginning, having students become used to that and get into a routine of it. But it was quite successful. And in fact, I'm not going to speak universally for students, but there were many students who spoke to administrators and teachers and said, I'm glad I don't have that thing. Right? But it was almost an excuse to be free of it for those. And they felt different not having that kind of constant thing on them. So I've shared this with some other folks too. I remember the first couple days of school I was last year when this was implemented, and I went into a high school, and I walked in the hallway. I was in the hallway during class change, and I'm like, I saw all these kids' faces for like the first time. I mean, like I've been in hallways tons, right? And kids are just walking in the hallway, and at lunch they're actually having conversations and such a thing. So I do understand, and I don't pretend that this isn't a major change for students. And we're going to have to walk through that with them, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So I don't want to diminish this as a significant change. It is going to be a significant change. And I'll talk about how we're going to maybe communicate some of that here in a moment. So, before I do, so what would be the consequences of this? So these are similar to what some of the consequences would be currently, let's say at a middle school or even a high school if they're using it at inappropriate times. So again, there's a combination of lunch detention, moves on to in-school suspension. You can move to the next slide on the second offense. Third offense, there would be some in-school suspension and some post-school standing. And then you would have some after school or elementary school at the last If this were to move beyond 4 offenses, then we would really need to start looking at having a committee, like a discipline committee review case. And so at that point, it likely is becoming just insubordination. That, I mean, this isn't technically hard for a student to not have their phone, right? If they're taking it out, they know the rules, they know that they're not supposed to do it, right? So we hope we don't get to that point, but that would be something. So some communication. So tomorrow morning, I want to thank Ms. Clark. She's put together a letter that's going to be going out to families, and along with information, slides of information about this policy, about why we're doing it, why it's in place, some of the more detail around the impacts of access, 24/7 access to cell phones and what that can look like, and the mental health aspects of that. So that'll be going out to families. Principals will be completing morning and midday announcements as to proper placement of cell phones. So this will be reminding students about that on a regular basis. And staff will be greeting students and reminding them of placement of cell phones. And we'll be, in the next slide, we'll be talking about timeline. So as we ramp up and prepare to implement this policy, there will be lots of conversation with students, trying to help them understand and not get caught by surprise, right, as we work through that. So the next steps in your packet, you have the policy for you to review and to take a look at. We are recommending and asking that you make a decision about this at your next meeting on December 10th. And then also for you, we'll have a recommendation about a time when this would be started. At this time, I'll just share what the thinking is that it would be after the winter break that we would implement. It feels like there's it doesn't seem appropriate to start it on the 11th of December, right? So that would be something that we would just understand that we would continue to communicate, but then after the break, then we would come back sort of a new start, and we would ask students to abide by this policy. So, but that would be a board decision for you all to give us direction on that. If you decide to pass the policy as written, or if there's adjustments you want to make to it. I'm happy to speak if you review the policy and there are questions you have or things you'd like us to consider. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk through that. And we can discuss that and bring any of those for discussion. Okay. Again, I know this is, I know it's not, this is going to be a transition for students. I understand before I came in, I heard that some students had seen this on the board docs earlier. So this wasn't, for some, it wasn't a surprise, right? They knew maybe this was coming. So, and I'm sure news will spread when it comes through their sides.
So is the plan to kind of take the phones as soon as they enter the building? So then you shouldn't have to run into that potential fourth phase of disciplinary action if it's just kind of.
Yeah. So what, if you can go back, Linda?
That's what I thought that last.
Yeah.
I keep students.
Yeah. So at the third offense, I think this is to answer your question. The student would lose the privilege of having a device at school, right? Okay. They couldn't have it after the third offense. They wouldn't be able to have it at school at all. So if they did have it again for the fourth time,
Right.
that's.
And I guess that's only if they're kind of like using a burner phone to turn in as opposed to their real phone type of thing is the only way that would probably happen. But
Yeah.
The plan, I would assume, would be as soon as the day starts.
No. So students will have when they will come in the building and they can enter the building around 8:00, and they would be able to use their phone until the first bell rings at 8:14. At that point, they need to put their phone away. They still have it at their access, they would have it in a book bag or a purse, but it shouldn't be on their person. But they would have access to it in case, so when at the end of the day, they need it, they're going to basketball practice or whatever, they would have access to their phone. So they will have it available to them. If they don't have some sort of bag or something like that, what they would do, currently teachers will collect it. There was a discussion among principals about whether we would just do that for every class, just continue to do that. But the decision was made, and I think it was a consensus, that having students have their hands on their phone that many times was just going to lead to them using it more. If they had to take it down, then they were supposed to put it away for the class change and then put it back in the sleeve again in the next class. We felt like it was better just to have it away for the day. Away for the day is the plan.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does this include personal laptops?
No, does not.
Because we have a lot of students that use personal laptops for college classes, especially in the junior senior.
Yeah, that's a good question. That may be something we need to.
And also, our laptops do not connect to our school Wi-Fi.
Okay.
They do not work properly if that. So you have to use personal hotspot off your phone for that to work.
And didn't Sebastian say last year that they almost needed their phone in order to pull up? There were certain assignments that I'd have to go back and re-listen to that, but like they had to get that information from their phone before they could move.
Like the governor's school kids.
Governor's school kids do that. We have enrollment
Yeah.
kids, especially for
Okay.
Laurel Ridge. We use personal laptops instead, just so it's easier access. So we can go from, because we have to switch our emails left and right, especially people that have multiple emails from the high school, from Governor's school, and then from also Laurel Ridge. So we have a hard time like switching back and forth, especially on the actual Chromebook, because the Chromebook does not allow you to access anything anymore. You can access Schoology, and that's about it. Maybe you'll get Wikipedia if you get lucky, but you don't really get much access to a lot of websites you need. So most kids do bring, especially in the junior senior class, bring their personal laptops that they use for Laurel Ridge, or they lose them personally, and they use their hotspots. They'll put their hotspots on, they'll put it up in the cubby, and then they'll turn the hotspots off after they're done with that class.
We'll have to. Thank you that's a great question, right? And I'm not familiar enough with that to answer that. I think that's a slippery slope if we start using hotspots. I'm interested, and this would be something that I'll talk with Blake about, Mr. Samples, our IT director, about what is the barrier of having personal devices be able to access the network. That's so. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. That's why we have two weeks to work through.
Yeah, you can. That is one thing, though. If you have a personal laptop, you can pull up any type of social media you want to. If you have a MacBook, you can pull up messages.
If you use your hotspot, if you were to use our network, you would not.
If you use your network, usually our network to my laptop personally, it does not work. It does not like to load. It does not like to do anything.
Okay.
So usually I do use my hotspot just to have the fast network and to get it done quickly.
Yeah. So we'll have to investigate that. So what? In an ideal world, then anyone who is using a device in the school should be using the school network because it has filters on it. It has all of the things that we're just discussing. So yeah. So, and that's what we need to find out. Yeah. We need to find out with that.
But yeah, but it doesn't seem like it is adequate for what you all need it for, right?
Well, we haven't really researched that point yet.
Yeah.
though.
No, yeah. We need to.
do.
Yeah. I need to.
Let's do the research and then we'll make some call.
It is.
Yeah, no, that's
That's a
great.
great
That's why we have you on the board to
Exactly.
hear things like that.
Yeah, kids are not going to react well to this. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be very hard on school administration, especially now as we have the policy where we can pick our phones up at the cubby, do class change, get on our phones, then go back.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we have to do as well, though, in our communication, we have to explain that this is being mandated by the state. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be tied to funding. And if we don't comply with the state, then it could have an impact on our funding, which we can't afford to have done.
I mean, yes, you want compliance, but let's not overlook the most important thing. Let's face it, we've all been lab rats to a certain extent, and we've given children this immediate gratification. It's dopamine hits, addiction, call it what it is. It is real. There's plenty of science now to back it up, and we have to intervene at some point, and you're going to have to make the hard calls. So yes, they might be enforcing it, but for the greater good of our future's mental health, we need to make sure you guys have what you need, for sure, that they will address that. But let's talk about it like for what it is. And it is, we need to prevent as much mental health as we already have. We need to, yes, we've got to undo something. And it is out there. Information is out there, and it is real. So you are the future. You're valuable. Your minds are bright, beautiful, and we need you. And we'll make those calls. So
I think on that note, I mean, you don't have to answer this right now, but if you all as representatives in the school can be thinking about maybe what are some ways as we implement this that we can make it more digestible and more supportive for students.
More palatable.
Yes, that it's, it's not such a shock, kind of type of thing.
or to feel angry about it. Like if there's a way that we could encourage, I mean, it is a dopamine hit. It is an addiction. And if you see the amount of behavioral, cognitive development, I mean, early on,
Look at the book,
we've all
Digital
just
Cocaine.
been an experiment, and now we've had years of research to see that it's not
Yeah,
been healthy.
good. Both of them, yeah. They're both
My
very good.
advice to y'all is just implement it. But the thing is that even if kids our age are smart, especially when they want something they want.
Yeah.
So even if y'all do implement it, kids will find ways around it some way.
And that's exactly why I was asking, are we taking the phones if we're going to do bell to bell? Because I'm a mother, so I know the difficulty, right, of that temptation of being like, but it's just right here. It's technically not on me, but it's so close to me. It's an addiction. It's a temptation. It's sitting right there. I just,
There's something
Right.
I get on my phone and I'm scrolling for like 5
For
minutes and
no
I'm like, oh my
reason.
gosh, I didn't realize I picked it up. So.
And
I
we,
call my mom during lunch and
Have
tell
we-
her about the
have we
beginning of
considered
my
phone
day.
boxes?
So I get to talk to my mom in the middle of the day, so that's really nice. But
Well, so just on my mental health brain, and this is something maybe we can help with, but it would be really interesting for data to do some type of survey or questionnaire on mental health patterns currently. And then maybe after the first semester that this is implemented, go back and then see, is there improvement? What has improved in what ways, and continue to kind of track improvement. So then we can really pinpoint, again, it's more from the mental health perspective, but is it solely cell phones? Is it cell phones? And, and we can kind of continue to address this more and more. So we are in a crisis.
I will say, speaking from a mental health standpoint, from experience, it's probably best just to administer this policy.
Right.
Because the more you are like, oh, we're doing it for y'all,
Right.
the more kids are going to get angry because it's like, oh, well, y'all are taking away the one thing we want during the school day for us. They're going to get angry about that. So if you just be like, listen, this is the rule. You got to follow it. Then that's that.
They're going to have a problem regardless of what
Yeah.
you do.
You can't sugarcoat it. I mean,
There's a couple things here, so I'm trying not to get triggered from my COVID years. I heard the greater good. I heard mandates. I heard cutting off funding. And I sat here at COVID and we masked 3-year-olds for the greater good. And we hurt them. And that was not based on science. It was 3 feet, and it was 6 feet, and you had the mask, how you wear the mask, what kind of mask it is. This school board is 6 people that represent the 6 seats, determine policy for Page County. Northern Virginia has bucked the current governor the entire time on mandates. And now we're going to have a different governor who is probably going to look at things more from a Northern Virginia way than our local area. We have to make sure, and I know our lawyer will go with whatever the easiest path. But a mandate, recommend, we better be looking at all that language, because you don't know what's going to be thrown at you the next 4 years from Richmond. We're not Richmond. We're not Northern Virginia. We're Page County. And the 6 seats determine policy for this division, not someone in Richmond. And the abuses I saw in COVID, I'm not going to put up with that again. So we better make a decision on how we're going to do it. Now, I'll just say this about this technology. The data is clear. And I wanted the students, I fought for you guys to keep your cell phones and have it disciplined, because it was our area to have to do it. But we have had instances where that phone has been used by students to harm others. And that's why I've kind of changed my mind. And I'll just be honest. So when we look at this thing, that's going to be how I look at it. Is it really mandated? Is it really law? Or is it just a recommendation? And we're going to decide what we want to do. And I get outvoted all the time. I know that's, so if you could just take that back with yourself, when you're looking at this thing, because
I do believe, to answer your question, my understanding is that it's not law. It is a Virginia Department of Education directive somewhere. Right? So I'll go back and make sure that I'm correct on that, but I don't believe that it was voted on by the General Assembly.
I don't think it is either. And you have to look at that language, because we need to know that when these things come down, because we're the governing body of this school division.
And what happens if you don't follow a VDOE directive?
That's the bigger question.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what.
Well, what's happening right now?
Yeah, I don't know what.
The governor's fussing at the school boards, and they're not doing it. They're doing whatever they want to do.
I think the VDOE contacted us before Dr. Huber went out. We got contacted by the VDOE for not being in compliance.
We were contacted by that.
I think that's why it came back. Was the VDOE didn't.
No, it came back up because we asked for it after we had cell phones being used in the wrong way.
No, the VDOE contacted us. Before Dr. Huber went out, they contacted us.
So that's what he said.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen documentation of that. I'd like to see that. But the VDE actually contacted us.
Well, I got a call from Senator Oberchain's office asking for a phone number because they wanted to contact us. So I can give you that. So yes, they did reach out to us.
Well, I want to see the documentation, because I'm not believing anything until I see it. Okay? I'm from Missouri right now. Show me.
Good, thank you.
Ms. Clark,
Jim Witt's
NCBA
conversation.
policy update?
Good evening, Board. As you have in front of you, you have additional policy updates for today. So most of the policy updates that you will see are just changes in wording, some consolidation that we did to collapse down to the VSBA policies. So you're going to see a removal of one, just means we embedded it in another, and I referenced those for you. As Dr. Oliver referenced, the only new policy is the cell phone policy that is on there for your review, and everything else is updated minor wording changes and updates. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Johnson, superintendent's update?
Yes, it gives me privilege to be able to share with you just some things that we've seen going on around the division over the last 2 weeks. And so we had a principals meeting recently, and we start our meetings off always by sharing positives. And given that I haven't given a superintendent's update before, I thought, well, what better place to start than with the positives. So these are some pictures that we were able to get from the schools. I think I represented most schools between this slide and one coming up, but you can see we've had middle school trips to JMU. We've had art classes heading down to the to the creek to do some artwork. Obviously, coming out of Halloween, we had lots of costume-oriented. Lou Elementary did Red Ribbon. Shenandoah did a Halloween event. I know they all did. Miss Cherry talked about the musical. Next slide. I think that our division was on full display on Veterans Day. And I screenshot the two high school ones because it was thrilling that WHSV came over. And if you didn't get a chance to see the WHSV piece on Luray and Page, go to their website. It's there. Wonderful. And I got to say, our students from elementary all the way to high do us proud always. In my background, I was principal at Page County High School going on 15 years ago now. And that Veterans Day assembly was special then. It was there before I was. It continues. It's special. Luray High School's celebration of flags and the fundraiser for the disabled veterans, amazing. Student playing taps during the events. We have a lot to be proud of with our students. And so I just say well done to student body. So thank you.
That taps, by the way, was excellent.
It was.
And it wasn't recorded, which a lot of them are nowadays.
Yeah. And it may have been a challenge. It was so windy. One of the students
You did
alluded to how
great.
cold and windy it was. I don't know how it would come out, but it was great, wasn't it?
It really was.
I don't want to take too deep a dive into this, but I'm going to spend a couple of slides on the Future Think data, which is part of the RRMM facility study. And they're going to come and give you a deep dive. So I don't want to steal their thunder, and as well, they've gone way deeper into the data than I have at this point. But I wanted you to see the kind of information we're getting back. I've got a 40-page report on my computer from them right now.
Wow.
And so certainly I couldn't take you through that tonight. But their data sources are deep, they're credible, they're dependable. They are projecting that the state of Virginia is going to see student enrollment decrease by about 7% over the next 10 years. They're looking at birth data, they're looking at mobility of families, they're looking at mortgage sales. I mean, they're just looking at a lot of things. Unfortunately, we are projected to go down by 8%. So I'm going to share that a little bit more information with you on the next slide. But if you see the top right there, in actual fact, for the most part, from 2020 to now, you can see that private school enrollment in Page County is increasing. So keep in mind, as we think about our enrollment, public school, as private school enrollment increases, at the bottom, you can also see that homeschool numbers are up 131 from 2017 to now. And so those are students that are in the county but not attending Page County Public Schools between those two entities. If you go to the next slide, you can see our historical, and we know this, we've reported on this along the way, but since 2016-17, we're down 527 students. And so the hard part with that, and I've presented over the years to school boards and board of supervisors, the hard part about saying we're down 527 students, you have to keep in mind that's between 8 schools and actually 13 grade levels when you think pre-K to 12. So if you start to do math, that truly is a handful of students per grade level at a given school. That could be as few as 2 students in first grade at a given school and 2 students in the, and so I've heard it said as your enrollment has come down 500 students, that ties directly to your funding. Yes and no, because it is sometimes you still have to offer certain numbers of core classes and electives, and you don't necessarily have a group of 20 or 30 students in a grade level at a school that you can say, okay, we'll just subtract the homeroom teacher. Yeah. It just doesn't work that way mathematically. So it's a challenge, which is what this planning and this study is all about. What do we do with our enrollment trends? What do we do with our historical buildings? How do we solve this challenge and make it work from a financial perspective? The next slide, just I mentioned some of they did birth counts as well. Again, if you look at the left chart from 2018 to today, over 7 years, you can see the birth counts are down in the county as well. The slide to the right, and I highlighted it, this is really interesting data. If you look at our total population projection 2030, they're actually projecting that Page County will basically be static. They're saying 24 more citizens in the county. But go down to the 0 to 18 population, and you can see they're predicting it's going to be down 145. That tells us that there are going to be fewer families with school-age children replaced by individuals who don't have school-age children.
Retirees.
Exactly. They're projecting that the size of the county population-wise is not going to shrink, but the size of the school system population-wise is likely going to shrink. So fascinating data that they are going to come to you. This is an amazing tool. I actually had this sent to me yesterday, so I only put this slide on this morning. So I don't know how to work it yet. I'm going to be in a meeting next week, and I'll be playing around with it. But I did play a bit. All of those dots represent homes of students. The colors represent districts. So green are your Springfield students. Yellow are your Shenandoah students. We can turn on and off the district lines. We can turn off elementary level, middle level, high level. We can see, if I turn it all off and remove some of the busyness, I can show you the students in Springfield district that drive to Shenandoah or vice versa. And you can see them visually where their home is. Again, as we're looking at what to do with our facilities and our buildings and our enrollment, which school we have determined building capacities with this organization, Future Think. Knowledge is power. And we're going to have knowledge we've never had before.
You think you can overlay that too with your transportation and routing?
Yeah. So in fact, we provided some of these maps to them to build this program, and transportation gave their transportation maps when this was being built. It's sensational, and it's going to give us information to make sensible recommendations for sure. Yeah. As well, I flipped right into attendance, and this is a slightly different chart from the one that Dr. Huber had been showing because, as you know, as we met individually this week, we really, in budget season, and we start talking about the term ADM, that's average daily membership. That's the number of students that we can count for funding. And so in last year, 24-25, we reported to the state in advance that we projected we'd have 2880, and then we get funded on that number for the year, and actually our enrollment was dropping. And so at the end of the year last year, then we get a lesser number than we anticipated. And we're in that stage right now. We have to project for next year so we can start building a budget. You can see where we're at right now. We built this year's budget on 2830. Mr. Sample sent me these numbers the other day, and right now our ADM is 2816. That's been holding fairly steady for 2 months, but that's 14 students below what we projected. Now with the Future Think data, I would think we will take a hard look at those numbers and the trends, and I would imagine our budget will probably be built on fewer than 2830, but you all will work through that. You'll have the data to help you with that decision this year. But that's the update on attendance right now. We are, ADM-wise, we're at 2860. Lastly, just to give you some updates on the left, there's some days that we're excited about. November 19th is Take Your Legislator to School Day. You all will be at the VSBA conference. Mrs. Miller and I will attend that over in Shenandoah County and meet with legislators. And we've been asked to deliver 5 to 10 minutes on a topic of interest to our division. I thought that I would speak to enrollment and facility study and making decisions when your enrollment is maybe declining. And I don't think it ever hurts to be able to say to a legislator, we need your help. We need your help financially as we think about goals for our facilities. So we'll be doing that on the 19th. There's a couple of celebratory days. Our teacher assistants, will be honoring those on the 20th. Substitute teachers on the 21st. December 2nd, National Special Education Day. And then we'll be back with you all on December the 10th. I can't believe the right side of this slide, but we're heading to the holidays. It is unbelievable to me. It feels like we just had our summer admin retreat yesterday, but that's not quite so. So to make sure families know, there is no school for students and teachers on Wednesday, November 26th. Schools are closed for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for Thanksgiving. We're back in class on December 1. I put down what I had at my fingertips for holiday events because I know you'd like to keep it in your calendars and you'd like to attend as many of those as you can, but you can see there that we've got some winter concerts coming. The good news is we'll be together again by December 10th, so I'll update that to the best I can so you have as much information as we can possibly do. And then winter break is right around the corner, December 22nd, and we'll be back in session on January 5th. So, it's going by fast. When I started as a school administrator 20 years ago, I worked for a gentleman named Dr. Phoenix that Dwayne had out at the school the other day, and he would look at me this time of year and he would say, "You know, the school year's over," because from this point on it goes really quickly. So students, be ready, it goes quickly. That's all I have.
Nice job.
You are up again with approval of claims for payment.
Yes, again, representing Mrs. Miller on our approval for claims for payment. You can see here that we're presenting this for your approval. We would draw your attention to the total operating fund, and those are the operating fund expenditures, which are $305,787.58. Also, our Fund 5 food service expenditures are $31,513.56 for a total of $337,301.14. And as well, you're provided with a list of claims and check registers.
I make a motion that we approve the claims for payment as presented.
Second. Motion by Mr. Painter and a second by Ms. Sullivan Smith to approve the claims for payment as presented.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Yes. Resolution.
Yes, before you, you have a resolution that we need to read into the record, and it's involving our Advancing Computer Science Education Grant, the ACSE grants, and Mrs. Regan Wallace has agreed to read that for us tonight.
Resolution to the Page County Board of Supervisors requesting adjustment of the 2025-2026 school budget for additional funds awarded for the FY26 Advancing Computer Science Education Grant. Whereas Page County Public Schools submitted a proposal to the Virginia Department of Education for the Computer Science Integration Pilot Program, and whereas the Virginia Department of Education awarded Page County Public Schools the Advancing Computer Science Education Grant in the amount of $72,351.59 for fiscal year 2026. And whereas these grants are designated to support computer science integration and instruction in Page County Public Schools, enhancing opportunities for students to develop skills aligned with state academic standards and workforce needs. And whereas it is necessary to adjust the 2025-2026 school budget to recognize and appropriate the additional revenue from this state grant in the amount of $72,351.59. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Page County School Board respectfully requests that the Page County Board of Supervisors approve a budget adjustment in the 2025-2026 school budget to include the additional state revenue for corresponding expenditure appropriate for three agents of $72,351.59, with no change to local appropriation.
Okay, I make a motion we approve the resolution 2026-04.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Alger and a second by Mr. Painter to approve the resolution 2604.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. FY 27 budget calendar adoption.
Yes, as we've alluded to tonight, we are in budget season, and Mrs. Miller and myself and you all as a board have been working through this process. And so tonight we bring you a calendar in which we will work really hard to follow. Of course, as you recall from prior years, sometimes it gets impacted by weather or changes in information. But in general, we hope to follow this calendar. And just a few highlights of the calendar. There is a budget work session that would begin at 5 o'clock at the next meeting, December the 10th. And basically, from that point through March the 12th, it's the build the budget season, where we meet with you all, we seek your input. We've been meeting with departments. We are working with the county administrator as well and her finance team. And so if I can draw your attention all the way down to March the 12th, that would be the goal in which we would hope to get a budget finalized and approved at this level. March the 16th, then we would be able to attend the Board of Supervisors meeting and listen to the county administrator's proposed budget. And then you can see from there the presentation and adoption schedule, all culminating, hopefully, back here on May 14th with a budget that would be a final budget that would be approved by you all.
And is our meeting on the 10th?
Because I have it on the 11th as well.
I also had it on the 11th.
I think you all changed it.
Is Christmas break in your calendar?
It had to do with the Christmas parade.
The parade.
Oh, parade.
Yeah,
Parade's on Friday?
on the 11th.
Thursday, the Luray parade. I think.
And so probably
Okay.
2 meetings ago, you made the decision to adjust the schedule.
I was going to change it. I was waiting for it
And we start at 5 o'clock.
to- 5
That
o'clock.
would be 5 o'clock, yes, ma'am.
I have a motion to approve it. Everybody's updating their calendars.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the FY 27 budget calendar.
Second. Motion by Ms. Alger and second by Ms. Sullivan Smith to approve the FY 27 budget calendar.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Ms. Hamel, PCPS Division Literacy Plan.
Good evening. Once again, I'm back before you, board, to seek approval for the division literacy plan.
I'll make a motion that we approve the division leadership.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan Smith, second by Ms. Alger to approve the division literacy plan.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Board member comments?
I want to start off by saying how proud I am of what the schools did for Veterans Day throughout the whole county. And I'm going to toot the horn for Page County High School for it being their 30th presentation for Veterans Day. But in talking to several of them that I talked with on the Assembly Day on Tuesday, what that means, you can't imagine how much they appreciate that. I'm just going to say this one little tidbit. I was in high school when the Vietnam War started. And of all the wars, I mean, all of them are tragic because you lose individuals. But I remember how horrible those veterans from Vietnam were treated when they came back from over there. I mean, this country disrespected them in more ways we could ever imagine. And that was wrong and shame on us. But I remember it was in Harrisonburg. It was their Christmas parade. And there was a whole troop well, different military branches, a whole 9 yards. But they were Vietnam veterans, and everybody that was on the sidelines cheered and clapped. It brought tears to people's eyes, knowing how they were mistreated. You know, they didn't create it; they did their duty. So, any recognition that we can give any of the branches, whether it was as far back as the Revolutionary War, whatever, those people gave their lives because they wanted a better situation. And I'm so proud of the young people being participants, the bands, the chorus, the color guard, you name it. Again, I don't think we have any idea of what that means. And this gentleman sitting right here is one of those. So again, hats off. I know it's a lot of time. I know it's a lot of effort. But those times remain in the hearts of those veterans. And so again, I just am so appreciative for everything that goes with it.
Well, Jackie, if I can, just on the heels of that, I personally, I was very impressed, and it meant a lot to me, and I think the other veterans that were with us. And the amount of work that the kids put into it, and the staff, the faculty, the declarations, the music, the songs. I mean, it was quite an event. I think there were probably twice as many veterans this year than there were last year. So it was a wonderful event. The breakfast was great. The kids did a great job cooking, and they came and sat at our tables and talked to us. So it was a very, very well done event, very much appreciated. So just I hope that those who are listening, that you can take that thank you, because I mean it from my heart.
Just one more thing I want to share. One of the veterans, Mr. Paul Judd from Shenandoah, turned 100 years old this past June. And there were students in front of me, and I said, "See the gentleman in the wheelchair? He turned 100. What? I've never seen a 100-year-old person." And there were some guys walking out, and I said, "Hey, guys." And one of my former garden students came up and I said, "Becca, did you know? Are you serious?" I said, "Yes." He went right over. And I mean, that's amazing in itself. But I just wanted to throw that in. So,
Yeah. I'm really impressed with the positive sports programs we had tonight. That's a wonderful event. It makes today very special for all of us to see those young athletes. And I made a note to about the Springfield Running Club. I think hopefully they're going to be the future cross country. That's what I was thinking.
Where it
when
starts.
she was talking about
A
that.
lot of them are.
Yeah.
A lot of them they do the running club, but they've been doing it for a long time.
It's just great, really great. And the new principal, Ms. Cherry, she love her enthusiasm, and I'm glad that we have her on board. Dr. Johnson, I just wanted to recognize you and tell you how I think we appreciate you stepping up into the role you're in right now, and we think you're doing a good job. I think you're doing a real good job, and I appreciate your communications. So that's a good thing. And to our student reps, you guys actually tonight proved how much value you have, not only in your presentation, but also in your commentary about the cell phone policy. I mean, that's really important for us. And you gave us firsthand input. So when we get those facts that we all need to see, the ones that, as Mr. Painter pointed out, whenever they put that stuff in writing, that we can see what the impact is going to be upon us, upon the implementation or not of these programs, your input was very, very valuable, and we appreciate you. And we're glad you're part of the team, because you are.
Yep.
And that's all I'm
Short and sweet tonight. Yeah, I think I say this every time, but I love the school presentations. I love the recognition of students. I hope that is just built in core part of our meetings going on now. It's just that reminder of that we're doing the work. And then I guess the last thing I am going to say to keep it brief, you all's perspective is just, it's invaluable. You know, having you all here, And it goes both ways too, right? Because having your perspective of what's impacting the students and how it impacts the students, but then for you all, which before I sat in this chair, I really had no idea the ins and outs and all the things that go into this. So allowing you all to get that perspective and then take that back as well. Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, it's been valuable. So I want to continue to find ways to get you all more involved in what we do. So with that.
You guys have just like summed it all up very well. I can be very quick. I have my list and it's like everybody's tapped in. But yeah, I am so proud of Page County and the way it remembers and recognizes our veterans. They deserve to be recognized, but I think that you are growing patriotism in young hearts, and we need to teach our students to be respectful of the people who are serving. Wartime or not, it's a sacrifice. They're gone. They have left their families. It's a commitment, and it's a lot of discipline. And I'm so grateful that you guys recognize them. They deserve it. All of our student athletes, that was really exciting. Congratulations to everybody. I did get to see somebody post the Page Girls competition. It was flawless, by the way. I mean, they're really brave to let people throw them around. It makes me nauseous every time, but you know, the spotters, go girls, I mean, because a lot of people have to have major trust. So they are some valuable people, right? Okay, very trustworthy. And a shout out to student representatives. Ladies, what you all brought tonight, it's a partnership. And for you all to hear our end and what's going on, and then for you all to be able to take it back, because that's the beauty of conversation, is the full circle moment, right? Because it's not just like they're doing this and they're doing that, but to be able to actually hear what's coming down, what the state or the VDOE versus, oh, but then this is the science, right? Like real science. And now that we have years to back that up, we appreciate that you're hearing that. And then Dr. Johnson, thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Altifer and Ms. Miller is not with us tonight, but everybody, you guys have shifted beautifully. Please don't think that has not been noticed and appreciated. Thank you. And you have done it seamlessly.
This is a phenomenal team, right?
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yes, he brags on you all. We hear a lot of fabulous things, but thank you for that seamless transition, and just the entire division is great. You all for doing that for us. Thank you.
So I'm going to mimic a couple of things that's been said, but Dr. Johnson, thank you again. And I don't know if everybody, most people will not know, but you're doing the same work with the same pay and different work. And that's kudos to you for how much you care about our division. I always appreciate how you make Dr. Phoenix feel welcome too. Your old buddies helped train you. We're walking into New Ray High School and Dr. Phoenix, and he looks over there at the mascot and he's like, hey, what's that? I said, that's a bulldog. He said, I don't know if I can go in here. I said, you can go in here. You're going to be fine. But that Veterans Day celebration was awesome. The flags, all the students out, and it was cold. But we made it through it. It was a great time. We were a great host. I hope more veterans come to that one next year. I know the Page is kind of more been there for a while, but I think that one will grow. And the kids went around and giving cards out, different things, thank you notes. It's kind of awesome when you're engaged. There was a wise woman that we spent a lot of time with. She was always like, know your why. When you see these kids up here, that's our why. And we have represented, you guys are our why we do this. I got a text from a couple of the students in some of the competitions, and it's kind of neat. Dwayne, you won't believe what happened. Well, what happened? I trimmed 2 minutes off my time. Like, yes. Another one, cheerleaders sent me a couple videos too. We've got a great thing going. We got a lot of momentum with things. And I'm looking forward to this coming weekend with the two teams from Blue Ray, what they're doing. And think this year was the first year you guys had 5 girls across country in a while. So it allowed them to compete, which is kind of neat. And I think she has it full for next year as well. I do believe she told me that. Yeah. So it's good stuff, and we need more of this stuff because this is why we do it. So thank you all. And you guys realigned all of what you're doing. It's just awesome.
I just want to say personally, I'm so glad that y'all enjoyed the veteran ceremony because the stress before that, the weeks before, was not easy. Cooking every single block was not easy. But, and also learning the poem, because I had to speak, the poem was definitely hard too, especially when you have friends in the stands that just stare at you the whole time. That was great. I almost busted out laughing also, so that was not a good time. But I just want to say thank y'all that I'm glad that y'all enjoyed it because it is a lot of work and we get excited to be able to represent our school that way because that's one of our big assemblies. That's one thing that Page County High School specifically is known for. I also want to say that I'm glad that I can put my input on the cell phone policy because the amount of essays I wrote about the cell phone policies and like how I was like, oh, do an argumentative essay on cell phone policy. I went back and forth. I've argued that we shouldn't have them. I've argued that we have, but it's just nice to hear like y'all's perspective personally coming down from a student because just thinking about it, like a student's like, oh, I always want my cell phone on me. I need it. A kid feels like they need it, but it's also nice to hear like there is downfalls of it. There is, but it's also nice to hear that y'all listen to our input on it, that it's not just automatically like this is happening. Like y'all want to hear our opinions on it just in general, because then the students feel kind of heard to where it's like they are trying for us. It isn't their fault. So then y'all aren't getting all of the heat. The state isn't getting all the heat of everything. So it's really nice to be able to listen to that.
I think the Veterans Day thing was phenomenal. Although it was cold and windy, I think it was great. I think it was a good experience. I just wish it was advertised more. Students didn't know about it until the day of, which kind of threw everyone off. But I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I think the school district has a lot to be proud of. And that's pretty much it.
Well, we'll see. I don't have anything to say again. They said it all, which makes it nice. But no, thank you, girls. Your input is great. We'd love to see you provide your feedback. I personally love the teacher and student questions and how the students loved everything that was after school and extracurricular, and the teachers loved teaching the students. So I thought that was funny. But, and thank you, Dr. Johnson and your team. You know, you all are doing a phenomenal job picking up and continuing to row the boat to keep us moving. So thank you for everything that you all do to keep us going. Okay. Make a motion to get going.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Alger and a second by Mr. Oberfeld.
Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yes, ma'am. Happy Turkey Day.
Yeah.
It's discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.